Hey, have you ever wanted me on you?
Well, now you can make that dream a reality with new Kothorix t-shirts. Wear them to school, wear them to church, put them on your parents, put them on your cat. Buy them now at artworktee.com. Link in the description.
Sometimes I have to give my throbbing, bulbous brain a rest and relax with a good movie. Now, I'm not a movie critic, but I do watch a lot of critics on YouTube, and it seems like the general consensus is to hate mainstream stuff and think that boring, nonsensical hipster movies that no one else likes or has ever heard of are just the greatest thing ever. Lately, I've been watching these kinds of movies too because I want to give them a chance, but often I find myself pretty disappointed. Let's be clear, I like big dumb action movies. I mean, not Transformers level of big and dumb, but like Marvel movies. You know, funny, fast-paced, characters I care about, a plot I can understand. And I do like some slower, more intelligent movies too. I liked Interstellar, I liked Inception. I mean, I understood them, and even though they were slow at times, I was interested the whole way through. One of the movies that was recommended to me recently was Under the Skin. Now, Under the Skin is one of these movies that I imagine the average moviegoer probably didn't like. It's very slow, especially the first half. A lot of things aren't really explained or are hard to follow, and there is a lot of bizarre imagery which just seems kind of pointless and weird. Well, if I say I don't like it, people will respond with, "Well, you're just a stupid mouth breather who didn't understand it." But you know, maybe I did understand it, and I still just found it kinda dumb. So what is this movie about? Let's start at the beginning. The opening shot of the movie is like a 2-minute zoom in of a black screen with a bright light in the distance. I don't know if this is a good way to start off a movie. See, usually an opening shot kind of establishes what the movie is about. If you've got an opening shot of a spaceship flying by, you know the movie is going to be about spaceships or something. If your opening shot is of a character's face, you know it's going to be that character, or maybe the movie just takes place from that character's point of view. But when you open up on a black screen, it's kind of like the movie is about nothing. I mean, either that or they're trying really hard to make some kind of artistic statement. It does raise a lot of deep questions, like, why is the movie starting out with a 2-minute shot of a black screen? Okay, so joking aside, I think that what they're trying to go for here is kind of saying that this is the beginning of a journey. Like the character starts out from nothing. It's certainly true that she has no personality, or morals, or anything really. The blackness could also just be seen as a tonal or aesthetic thing, as there are a lot of dark, solid black rooms in the movie, and it's a pretty dark story overall. We see ScarJo undressing a woman and putting on her clothes in a solid white room. Again, this feels like the movie trying way too hard to be artistic. I mean, maybe there is some deep socio-political message this scene invokes, but I'm pretty sure the director just wanted an excuse to see ScarJo naked. I mean, that's the feeling I get with a lot of these artistic hipster movies. They always put in some kind of hardcore sex scene or excessive nudity or something like that. And it's like, does this mean anything, or was the director just feeling a little bit flaccid? My favorite thing is when movies include this kind of stuff and then the people involved act surprised when it receives an X rating. But that's a topic for a different video. And don't get me wrong, I'm not some kind of weird prude or something, but this kind of thing just seems out of place a lot of the time. Anyway, ScarJo is like an alien or something, and she wears a human skin suit. Her objective is to lure men back to her, whatever this place is, and kill them. I think so she can eat their gore. Not their skin though, just their gore. That's the good stuff. It's never really explained why or how she does this. I mean, we can take this whole black room oil immersion thing from a literal perspective, and maybe this is just her ship and these things are actually happening. But I think that maybe the whole point of filming this in such an abstract way is because how she actually kills them isn't important. The implication is that she lures them in with sex and then murders them for their delicious meats, and that's all we really need to know. The movie takes place in a part of the UK where they speak English.
Right, and see the traffic lights up there? Take that right, then you'll go past Ibrox Stadium, right? Then go straight through a roundabout, then take a left, so it's right, then just, and it's there, it's, the motorway's there, it's a big Asda, you'll see it, a big Asda sign.
But it's kind of okay because there isn't much dialogue in the first place, and even that really isn't necessary. One thing that this movie really succeeds at is that it tells a story without needing to say a word. A lot of movies can't do that, so I do give it props for that. The first half of the movie goes on like this. She lures men in and liberates them from their organs without any pity or remorse. It's a pretty slow start, and I think that most people would have shut off the movie by the halfway point. The first interesting thing that happens is when she picks up this guy who has a deformed face and lures him back to the Shadow Realm. Up until this point, she's really only gored kind of cocky, horny guys who we don't really care about. But this guy is different. We feel kind of bad for him. He doesn't have any self-confidence or self-esteem because of what he looks like. He thinks that she's pulling a prank or something on him because he doesn't understand why anyone would find him attractive. And the sad part is that he's right. She just wants him for his juicy innards, because it's what's on the inside that really matters. Now, I've seen a few reviews for this movie about how this whole luring men in thing is a statement about how guys are just horny and the only thing they want is sex. But I see it differently. I think it's a statement about how easy it is to take advantage of lonely, desperate people. One of the questions that ScarJo always asks the men she's trying to vore is if they are alone and if they have a family. Now, this could just be because she doesn't want to get caught, because trust me, loners are way easier to kidnap and eat. So I don't think it's about men only wanting sex. I think that it's about how easy it is to prey on lonely people. Anyway, he escapes from her sex death room somehow. I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention. And this kind of sets into motion ScarJo thinking that maybe murder raping people is bad or something. She clearly has some kind of empathy or at least curiosity about things she considers lesser species, and she seems to start to want to understand humans. A few things happen. She tries to start a relationship, she gets helped by a few random strangers, she watches television and tries her hardest to understand what's going on. And this is my favorite section of the movie. Not because it's interesting or well-paced, which it is, but just because of this one scene. ScarJo decides to eat a piece of cake, because that's like a human thing to do, I guess. We slowly zoom in on this cake and just see it so moist and delicious looking, that white frosting between layers of delectable velvety chocolate. But when ScarJo takes a bite of the cake, she spits it out. She can't eat cake because she's a weird alien and can only eat human gore or whatever. And that's really sad. It really hit home for me because cake is good. I'd say cake is even better than human innards, but she could never have it. This was a really emotional scene for me, and in my opinion, the best one in the movie. ScarJo has some kind of emotional crisis, and honestly, I would too if I found out I couldn't eat cake anymore. In all seriousness, I think basically she just wants to get away from humanity because she knows she can't fit in with them, and at the same time, she doesn't want to kill them anymore. But a lumberjack finds her and things go south. As it turns out, he's one of those rapey lumberjacks. At this point in the movie, a few things crossed my mind. My immediate thought is that rape is bad, right? So we're supposed to feel sorry for her. But then you start to wonder, should we feel bad for her? I mean, at this point, she's murder-raped several people, and that's only what we've seen. Who knows how many people she's lured into her sex dungeon off-screen? Is the movie making a statement about how subjective our morality is? Or is it just another excuse for ScarJo to take her clothes off? Anyway, he finds out her skin isn't really as skin-like as he anticipated, and that it's not attached to her body in any meaningful way. And thus begins ScarJo's metamorphosis into her true form, the Black Widow. But the lumberjack turns out to be not only kind of rapey, but xenophobic as well, and he lights her on fire. Then the movie ends. I know I harped on this movie a lot and made fun of it, but honestly, I didn't hate it. It was definitely kind of boring at times and trying way too hard to be artsy. See, I like films that make me think, and while this movie was certainly much more intellectually stimulating than something like Transformers, it didn't really have much of a lasting moral or message. Is the message that man-eating aliens can't fit in with human society? I mean, I think that kind of goes without saying. Is the morality that you shouldn't trust lumberjacks because they might try to jack your lumber and then light you on fire? I think people already know that as well. But you know, maybe that's okay. Maybe movies don't need to have an overarching morality or lesson. Maybe this film is just one director's artistic vision. Or maybe it's just one director's way to see Scarlett Johansson's supple Avengers. I wonder how many takes they did of this scene. I mean, this is the same guy who directed such films as Sexy Beast and Birth. Well, why don't you go give it a watch and tell me what you think in the comments. Anyway, I'm Kothorix, and you have a wonderful day. Hey everyone, this is just a reminder that I do gameplay streams on Twitch every weekday at 9 PM to 1 AM Eastern. If you want to get a hold of me, the best way is through Twitter. DMs are always open. Finally, I want to thank everyone who supports me on Patreon and Twitch. You make all of this possible.